Very
I'm
picky.
sorry, guys.
Apology accepted.
Yeah.
Last question before we move on to some of our main topics, and we do need to get a couple super chats here. Has anyone here had a hoe phase? Kiko. I wasn't making assumptions. I was just asking if you've had one.
I mean, I feel like most people have their hoe phase. It just depends on, like, if you mean hoe in retrospect to my usual, or like hoe as in like what for like the normal of everybody. Because I would, if compared to normal terms, no, I wouldn't consider it a hoe phase, but like it was out of my norm. So
did you smoke before the show?
No, I'm like getting over a cold.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Do I sound raspy?
A little bit. I wasn't sure what that. No, totally fine.
I already took antibiotics though, so I'm good.
Okay. Really quick, just on your thing. So are you still bartending?
Yeah.
Okay. You said some of your bartending friends, they've had major hoe phases.
I wouldn't really call it a phase if it's a lifestyle.
Oh, there's a continuity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean just like my bartending friends. I mean,
all the other ones.
I mean, no, I just mean like people I've met since bartending.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
So what, I guess, for the lifestyle, how much of a body count are we talking here when we're talking? Like, can you tell us like the highest, maybe the top 3 you've heard from some girls?
I couldn't tell you the top 3. For the highest I've ever heard from a girl, it was like 340 something.
What? 340 something?
She killed that many people? Is that what body count?
Partners, but
oh man, because I'm like actually not a prude, and I'm from New York, and the highest I've ever heard is like 100, and I thought that was the craziest number.
Where are you hearing that from? I've heard way higher too.
Then what?
Then like 340. I've heard I'm just saying 100's the highest you've heard.
Yeah. And I thought that was crazy.
It is crazy, but I feel like I've heard.
But have you heard it from guys or girls? Because guys always inflate their number, and women always
I feel like
suppress their number.
You're right.
Because a guy will say, "Oh yeah, probably about 10,000." Genghis Khan didn't sleep with 10,000 women.
Yeah,
that's not real.
Right.
340. I would think it was around 340. I think it was like 346 if I remember exactly.
What about some other high numbers?
Very specific.
Ever since then I can't even remember anything else. That's all I can remember.
From your other friends?
Yeah, that's
okay.
everything else after that.
And
unless
like
it's
100
small.
plus?
Yeah, there's a few of those for sure.
A few 100 plus. Okay.
Who has that much time? 340.
I know.
I think it's people because it's like if they're just a promiscuous person, they've probably been like this since they were like 16. Mm-hmm. Most of these people are like 30 that I'm saying. Right. That's 12 years. That's a lot of time to do some damage if you really think about it.
That is.
Especially if you've never been in a long-term relationship, so you have time to just keep going at it. Yep. That is time to collect some cards.
Because I sometimes think back in I've had very brief single days, and I think, oh man, I was an atheist. I was a total derelict, and I thought, oh wow, that was really crazy. But then you think, well, what if people just had that period of time times 10?
Right.
And which a lot of people do.
Right.
Wow.
So, hoe phase.
I mean, what do you consider a hoe phase? Like, what's your definition of a hoe phase?
Well, what's your sense of it?
I would say going out, getting hammered a lot, and screwing a lot of dudes.
Seems like a fair definition.
Kind of the same thing. Like, I would consider what I had at one point as a hoe phase, but I don't think the average person would consider that a full-blown hoe phase. But like, to each their own, I guess,
Okay. Sam, what about you?
I didn't really have a hoe phase, but I had a player phase where I just like knocked out a whole friend group and like killed all their. I was like going through it, and I like played a whole friend group on accident.
What's the distinction between a hoe phase and a player phase?
Because I didn't like do anything with them. I just talked to them and texted them and played the field, and then like one by one, like made them like me.
Knocked them over like dominoes.
Just for fun. So it's just for ego.
No, it wasn't for ego. I actually like had crushes on these people, and then like I like realized like I think I picked the wrong one. I actually like that one more, and then it only was 3 of them, but the whole friend group did end up liking me. So
Indecisiveness.
yeah, it was purely indecisive.
When I was in
I ended up
college,
dating one of them for 2 years, so I really wasn't trying to like be a player. I just was indecisive.
they called that a suite complete when I was in college. If a girl was every single guy in the suite. That's suite complete. Yeah.
Tatum, what about you?
No, I haven't had a hoe phase.
No hoe phase?
Maybe not yet. Maybe in the
it's
future.
in the works?
Maybe, yeah.
You're going to have to lower your standards for that.
Well, maybe they will
perhaps.
lower.
Or you'll just have a string of skater boy
Just like really hot dudes.
dudes.
Yeah.
I hear a train coming.
At first, I was thinking your high standards were a bad thing because it would be very hard to meet a guy. But maybe that's a great thing because you've avoided the hoe phase because you have very high standards, even though they're oddly specific. Okay, that's good.
Actually, kind of on that topic. Well, I'll let the table finish. Have you ever had a hoe phase?
No, it takes a lot for me to, I guess, like someone. So I don't think I know.
Okay.
No.
Michael, have you ever had a hoe phase?
A lady doesn't tell, Brian.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm-
Well, I sort of alluded to it. You know, I was a derelict
You went to
atheist.
Yale.
I went to Yale, and Yale's a pretty.
Party
Yale's a
school.
weird campus, man. Yale is known for like weird secret society rituals and getting naked. That's basically. I mean, Yale. They would do all this crazy stuff. I think back on it now. They would have sex week every 2 years. They would bring in porn stars to give lectures. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, and it's all these. I was kind of wondering.
There were porn stars back in your day?
You know, actually, back in the 19th century, it was 1878. It was the first star ever.
Oh,
And-
awesome.
Yeah, and old
Love to learn
Abraham.
the
It was
history.
he wasn't very beautiful.
On the first camera?
Yeah, it was where you know where
Let's
the
get
light
that
bulb
shot, zoom in.
explodes. Yeah. I wondered though, when I got to Yale, I thought, why are all of these people so promiscuous? Like, why is everyone? You wouldn't necessarily expect that. And I realized, you think about the people who you might have known in high school who went to Yale were probably fairly nerdy, fairly studious, maybe didn't go out that much, probably didn't go to a ton of parties, you know. And so they were just these pent-up balls of lust and gluttony and drunkenness, and then they just explode. And it's,
Well, they say when like you have really strict parenting as a high schooler, where you're not allowed to go out a lot. Once you hit college and you have no rules, they kind of go off the walls and like the partying, the drinking, and all that.
Yeah, I had roommates like that. And I went to NYU, and my roommates, man, my dad was like, "Oh, you have real